Yeah, Prof here, and we've got ourselves another really light Amazon package that is a product that you guys are going to enjoy. Actually, I would say my best short, or my most viewed short, is the one on the front panel connector. The F_panel connector. And how, for those wondering, that's like your power button, your LED, your power LED, your reset button, your hard drive LED, all that sort of stuff, right? That's what's in this front panel connector, and they always have these really tiny little jumper header plugs that are single pin, pain in the ass to plug in. And I made a video about how ever since, I believe it was 2017, Intel actually standardized that, and the NZXT S340 was one of, if not the first cases to actually use that connector. So for years, people, and I think I've finally gotten some of the creators out there, like Jay's 2 Cents, Hardware Canucks, Gamers Nexus, they're finally actually calling out when brands do not use the standardized F-panel connector in their cases. Finally. I've been talking to Fractal about that, and I'm like, that's the most viewed short from you guys, and you guys, watching it. And not only do I have that, I've constantly have questions on that video about it. So, like, the standards out there, the motherboards have been using it. I think even if we go all the way back to X570, which was the last time I looked, the only motherboard brand to not use the standardized front panel connector was BioStar. And that was on the AMD X570 motherboards, that's quite a bit developed for AMD's Ryzen platform at the time. And this is, so more than likely what happened is they used it on their Intel boards. And then as it went on forward, they basically, as the AMD boards became more relevant and they put more development time in them, they got all the same stuff that their Intel boards that they were traditionally making. As a lot of the custom PC build community, that's you guys, started switching over to AMD, right? They just took those same designs and moved them over. Now, why am I saying that you guys are going to like this? Well, this is for those of you that know you have that connector and use that connector, but are running into a very specific issue. If you guys are running multiple GPUs in your rig, or maybe you're running a server and the graphics card needs to be in the bottom slot, you may be running into the issue that I'm running into my server, which is the F-panel connection here. The graphics card, because they're getting so friggin' long, and this one isn't even that long. You'll grab it because I'm going to have to try and put it in the computer. This is what we're upgrading the server to. Right here. This is a 1650, not a TI, not the later dumbed down DDR4 one, but a stock or original 1650. This was rather interesting because this chip, part of it at least, I believe the graphics end of it, actually comes from, I believe it was the Tesla V, the Volta era cards. So this one has a very interesting, at least GPU encode engine. I believe the cores, or the CUDA, like the what is it, NVENC, and that'd be encode and decode engine. From my understanding, is from the Titan at the time, which that tech from those cards never made it out of the Enterprise cards except for the Titan, right? But somehow that tech for the encode decode engine, like the multimedia acceleration engine, made it into the original 1650. And that reminds me of like the 750, 750 Ti. Those were actually Maxwell cards. You're like, no, Maxwell was 900 series. Nope. Actually, that's second gen Maxwell. First gen Maxwell was only in laptops, and then in desktops, it was in the 750 and 750 Ti. So this is kind of like a similar thing there, where it's a rather unique card. And this is what I was running in the repair PC because I don't really need a high-end card. I just need a supported graphics card. Right? And the other thing I needed was 2 display ports. So I would have been all for getting a 1050 because the 1050 is the lowest card at the time, and even still now, I believe, that you can run NVIDIA's studio drivers with. I tend to run any game that I'm not, even on my desktop, unless I need the game-ready drivers for a specific game that I've decided to pick up like right when it comes out or something, I will run the studio drivers. You generally get better performance and more stability in stuff like Adobe, CAD, etc. AutoCAD, Maya, all of these more, what do you want to say, like workstation use cases, right? So that's all I was looking for. But at the time of me trying to do this was during 20 series, and cards were not really readily available. And a used 1050, I think was going to run me somewhere in the range of $150. And I think I got this for 200. Might be off on the pricing. Either way, this was discounted at the time in person in Best Buy, actually. Even I just like walked in and bought it. This was the same price because it was on sale for whatever reason as the stock PNY variant, which was, yes, much smaller. Didn't have, I believe you can get some of the original 1650s that do not have the power connector, which would actually be kind of useful. And then much smaller PCB, obviously, but no, if you see, this is the Gaming X variant. That means it's overclocked. This is back when like the 750 came out and they couldn't call it superclocked or overclocked. This is still during that era. So the Gaming X for the overclocked variant. But what I really needed was the dual display ports, which though the base 1650 was capable of, most brands did one display port, one HDMI, and I believe one DVI in most cases. So the reason why this is an issue and why we have this guy, and we're going to be careful opening it because I do want to do a short, is if you put this in the bottom slot on a motherboard, it won't work. I have a server off to my right, but it uses well, it's not really a server. I'm using desktop hardware. We have a granny cat that wants attention, if you guys can't tell. But basically, you hit the front I/O up here. Which is an issue, which is why SilverStone, they always come up with all these crazy, super useful adapters, and they pretty much never stop making them, which is awesome. Like, if you have a case that has a USB-C front panel, but your motherboard only has the old, I think it's a 30-pin USB. That's the USB 3.0, the big, wide, skinny blue one. You're like, how can something be wide and skinny? One direction is wide, the other direction is skinny. It's really shallow, too. But they have an adapter that actually adapts that connector to the USB-C connector. Yes, you go from 2 ports to 1 port. That is part of what happens with the bandwidth, and you can flip a USB-C connector over. It's because it's basically 2 ports. They have stuff like that. They have all sorts of very unique. If you need a low profile, SATA cable, and what this is and I can show you where in the server where it's going to go. This is to take your front panel connector, and this will plug flush into the motherboard. Look at that, very, very skinny. And then route this underneath, like probably underneath your power supply shroud, and you can plug it all in over there, even if it is a single connector or a few of the multiples. But what this will do is this can easily then fit right there, and that causes issues. And that is exactly what it is advertised as. And I was literally looking for, like, I was looking for extensions or a right angle plug, and it turns out SilverStone literally makes the exact product that I need, which is that it's the CP15. Over the years, they have had so many various just little adapters where they are legitimately the only ones that make it. Another place where this could be quite useful is ITX builds, where you only have one slot and they have to crowd everything on the motherboard. So if you look right here, they are showing exactly why this is needed right there. Because you put your GPU on there, and you will hit, if it overhangs, not even the whole motherboard, but just this area, you will hit a normal connector, because they're not right angle. They're straight up and down. And with GPUs not only getting really long this way, but also, it used to be one slot, then they went to 2 slots, was pretty common since, many, many, many years now. But now we're up to like 4 as standard. Address the common challenge of tight space in large GPUs, ultra slim connectors. So this it literally is exactly what I was looking for. I needed a right angle plug. I wasn't even necessarily looking for something this thin, but they basically engineered what I needed to get around this exact issue, and it was available. Now, I've never seen this before, so I wonder how new it is. They usually list when this is first put up on the website, but there are no reviews. It's got to be pretty new. That's new. Computex 2025. That was this May. So this is why there are no reviews for this product. It's one of those things that they just came out with, and I would almost guarantee it is. There you go. There's the F panel connector. That, like I said, my most popular short is specifically, and they call it front panel connector. Most of them say F_panel, all in caps. That's what they call it. So, like I said, if you ever need weird adapters, do not be surprised if SilverStone is the one that you come to find that makes it, because they specialize in this sort of stuff. And this is going to get me out of a bind that I was like, am I going to have to buy like little extensions and like really pre-bend them, or even like on like these plastic housings, especially with the individual connectors, you could heat them up and bend them. Like, am I going to have to like make my own and configure and manipulate, modify my own thing? But no, SilverStone, as of Computex 2025, so it's like end of May 2025 this year, has my solution. I'm going to see if I can show you guys exactly where this is. We got our stream light here. We're going to need some light where we're going. So, where we're going is right down there. So if you look where that 1030 is right now, and right now we are not running into, I can zoom you in one step. So if you can look right there, I have a USB 3, and then I have, because this is a fractal case and they don't use the F panel connection, I have an adapter that's actually an Asus adapter, even though this is an ASRock motherboard. See, Phantom Gaming. And then I have all of the pins plugged in there. Now, even if I took that adapter out, if you really bent on it, I bet you can make it work. I'd rather not risk that. See, like, we don't run into that with a 1030. We didn't run into it with the RX 580 that was in here. It must have been just short enough, but not a half height card, a full height card. But with that 1650, especially because it's that OC gaming version, we're hitting that connector right there. And what that's going to do is the same thing that USB 3.0 cable I've got. That's a little extension there that basically does a right angle and extends it down through the hole, and you plug it in the backside. See if I can show you that. A little bit. You can see it just comes back through the back, and that's where it's plugged in. So we're going to do a similar thing for the F panel connection. Otherwise, basically the ass end of that GPU hits it, and I was trying to slot it in the motherboard, and I'm like, am I missing? How am I missing? Like, I know how to put a graphics card in, and it turns out I'm running into those connectors. Mighty annoying, but I'm glad to see that somebody else ran into a solution, and SilverStone, the company known for fixing all these problems that you think only you have, has already solved it. I'm going to get to installing that, and then I can upgrade that from a GT 1030, which doesn't have NVENC. They used just the raw GPU horsepower. That's kind of why the 1050 is actually the lowest card for that studio driver, even though the 1030 is in that 10 series card. It lacks physics acceleration, CUDA acceleration. Maybe not all of that, but like it's lacking quite a bit. Which is why I threw it in there, because I just needed a port. But because the repair PC that's under that chair over there got an upgrade from the 3050 that wasn't there, we can now take its 1650 and put its Titan class GPU encode decode engine to work in the server. If you guys have any questions, comments, throw it down below. If you are in the same hole that I was, whether it's an ITX motherboard or you're running a server or an AI workstation where you're sticking multiple GPUs in there and you're really stacking them up, you might need to get yourself one of these from SilverStone, the CP15. All right, see you in the next one. Peace.